Are your eyes telling you the truth? Is there ever a valid reason to tell a lie? Do you actually make your own choices, or are you following a biological script you didn't write? When we try to answer these questions without a structured process, we often fall back on personal bias. Our thoughts become a collection of reactions rather than a coherent way of seeing the world. Philosophy provides a set of checks and balances for how we process information. It organizes the chaos by breaking these broad, difficult questions into specific areas of study. We can map the philosophical landscape by looking at the 5 core questions that define these distinct branches. Everything begins with what is real. This is metaphysics. It investigates existence itself, from the origins of the universe, cosmology, to the nature of being, ontology. Within metaphysics, we find the mind-body problem. It asks if you are a physical brain made of cells and electrical signals, or if consciousness exists as something non-physical, like a soul. These definitions have practical effects. If you believe the universe is strictly material, your approach to life and purpose will differ from someone who believes reality includes abstract or spiritual dimensions. If a universe exists, how can we be sure we understand it correctly? Epistemology is the study of knowledge. It examines the limits of what we can actually know. Empiricists argue that knowledge comes from sensory experience, what we see and touch. Rationalists believe that some truths are accessible through internal logic and reason, independent of the senses. Epistemology also addresses skepticism. This is the problem of whether our senses are flawed or our memories are fabricated, raising the question of whether certainty is even possible. By setting standards for evidence, this branch helps us distinguish between a universal truth and a personal assumption. Once we acquire information, we need a way to process it. We have to ask, does this make sense? This is the domain of logic. Logic is not concerned with the subject of an argument. It focuses on the structure of the reasoning itself to see if a conclusion actually follows from the facts provided. Aristotle established foundational rules for this process, such as the law of non-contradiction. This law states that a thing cannot be both true and false at the same time and in the same way. These rules provide the criteria to detect a flaw in reasoning, allowing us to identify and set aside a bad idea before we accept it as true. Philosophy eventually moves from thought to action with the question, what should I do? Ethics is the study of morality and how we define a good life. Utilitarians, such as John Stuart Mill, judge an action by its results. They argue that the right choice is the one that produces the greatest happiness for the greatest number of people. We can contrast that view with deontology, which is associated with Immanuel Kant. This view holds that morality is based on universal duties and rules that must be followed regardless of the consequences. When these moral frameworks are applied to how we organize a society and distribute power, they become political philosophy, the basis for our laws and our definitions of justice. Human life also involves the experience of meaning. We ask, what is beautiful? Aesthetics is the study of beauty, art, and taste. Aesthetics explores the deep tension between objective harmony and subjective human experience. It asks if beauty is a mathematical feature of the universe, or if it depends entirely on the observer's perception. This branch allows us to analyze how we find value in our experiences and how art shapes our cultural identity. These branches work together to solve complex problems, like the development of artificial intelligence. We use metaphysics to ask if a machine can be conscious. We use epistemology to see if a model actually knows facts or is just predicting patterns. We use logic to verify the structure of its code. Then we use ethics to decide if AI should replace human workers, and aesthetics to evaluate whether a machine can ever produce true art. Studying philosophy is about more than memorizing the names of historical figures. It is a set of skills that we practice to navigate daily life. We use these branches to test our ideas and verify our conclusions. Understanding these 5 areas provides the tools to navigate a complex reality, verify the truth, and act with a clear sense of purpose.